Meine Herren, this is Plan 3, first devised at the turn of the century for the invasion of the United States of America, but then shelved as the Weltkrieg progressed. Today, we see the foresight of the military planners of that period. The atomic threat emanating from the USAS has compelled us to act. The latest political move has put the Einheitspartei firmly in power, and we have liquidated enough outspoken detractors over the past years to silence any kind of organized opposition. The public, following the targeted fear campaign, is now rallying in the streets, demanding preemptive action against the enemy. Still, we must not forget the impact of mass casualties. This is not the time of the First Weltkrieg anymore. The original projections of Plan 3, when it was drafted, were 100,000 for a limited invasion of a much weaker United States. Today, if we are to take the eastern seaboard alone, casualties are estimated to reach twice that. For a full defeat of the USAS army, which includes pushing through the vast central regions up to the Pacific, or a second naval invasion, estimates are at over 500,000. This would put a severe strain on our economy and public opinion. Instead, we will proceed with a modified version of the original plan. As we speak, rocket launch sites are being constructed in secret locations on Haiti. Together with the Fernkampfgeschwader, we will deliver 2 atomic devices. The targets are New York City and Jacksonville in Florida. The unprecedented destruction will paralyze the USAS command, and General Halder's marine commandos are fully equipped and ready to launch simultaneous landings at both sides, exploiting the confusion. In the north, we will take the enemy capital, eliminate all remaining forms of government, and dig in at the city limits, which should only have suffered comparatively minor damage. In the south, the Marines will push inland to cut off Florida from all routes of communication, which will then become a major landing area for von Kluge's armored forces to expand inland. The Luftwaffe will stage long-range operations from the island bases in support and move onto the continent once we have secured forward air bases. All enemy troops remaining in Florida are to be eliminated. A no-prisoner directive is to be issued publicly. Operatives of Abteilung 3B have already established networks of contacts and will actively work towards undermining any kind of resistance. Meine Herren, I repeat that the goal of the operation is not a prolonged military campaign. Using the atomic devices on enemy cities will save countless German lives, and our success depends on rapidly destroying the enemy's will to fight with a combination of shock and awe, followed by a conventional aerial mass bombardment campaign, rapid destruction of a sizable enemy force in Florida, and targeted propaganda. With luck, we will be able to decapitate the enemy command with the initial strikes in New York and force a rapid surrender. Aircraft from all over the world are being brought together in the Caribbean for the planned operations and the launches against the Americans. At the same time, we are bringing all 4 battle groups into the High Seas Fleet, 154 ships all in all, concentrating along the US East Coast to ensure that any kind of interruption is going to be taken care of. This includes the brand new 4th Schlachtgeschwader, which is based around the Otto Lilienthal Potsdam, as well as the 2 Wotan-class battleships, which haven't really seen any kind of action as so far. But we've got some new Dresden-class cruisers as well coming along. All in all, this is a very potent battle group. So we're pulling all aircraft into the southern region, as well as into the whatever is possible into the Bermudas airbase, in order to cover the approach. Range, as usual, from Bermuda to the US East Coast is going to be a problem. So, but once we actually manage to take airports, this is going to be a different proposition. The construction of the secret missile bases in Haiti is progressing, and we should be seeing the first one completed in November. And yeah, in November we should be seeing the first missile bases being completed, which means after that, hopefully by end of target date is somewhat around January for the operation. And until then, we are still building up forces. we have some more modern tanks. So let me have a quick look if we can upgrade one more of Guderian's tank divisions. Alternatively, Weber doesn't have any, so maybe one of maybe Weber's first can be switched to the Kampfpanzerdivision, and we have actually we've got a fair amount, so we can probably switch 3 over. So let's get them 2 more, and I will take the 6th and the 4th will be switched over as well, and we will see once the tanks are delivered how much longer production is going to need in order to make this happen. Now we are building a capable aircraft for long-range operations, especially the Junkers 388 for potential air superiority operations. But like I said, most of the fight in the air is going to be happening once the troops have landed and have secured the airport, and from there on out we'll take it. So let's accumulate forces and prepare for the invasion. The Mitteleuropa court system has been completed, and with that we are unifying control over the justice branch in Mitteleuropa, and that means we can next go and centralize the headquarters in Berlin. But before we do that, let's have a look if there is anything else that needs doing right now. I think there are still a few industrial decisions, or we can still go down the legacy of the Weltkrieg. I think that's probably the better option. That or extinguishing syndicalism. But I don't think there's much here needed. I think we've got that pretty much under wraps here. So let's do legacy of the Weltkrieg and see what lessons were to be learned from that overall operation. Russia wants to send us tanks. We'll decline that. We are a bit short on the modern tanks, but we'll be building due to the changes. But we will be building up. Production there relatively rapidly, and the shortages should be under control relatively soon. So we've got 13 production per day. So overall, let's look if we're still on the timeline. 41 days, no problem. I think the divisions will be fully equipped by the time that the invasion begins. Also, the tanks are not the frontline troops. They are second line after the infantry has secured the beaches and obviously the armored divisions of the Marines. We've got a free research slot after completing the Field Hospitals 4, which which protects war support, deals with the impact of losses and the overall problems that come from that. We could either go with slightly improving the mountain infantry. This is still a little ahead of time. We are making our way through the anti-tank branch of things. We're pretty much done in the naval trees, but we've got the advanced small airframe actually. These are still. We could even go to the modern medium airframe, which the modern large airframe is still way out. But we could go down the modern medium airframe and get a slight improvement. But I think, all in all, it's not an awful lot. This is complete, and I think, given that we are in very intense operations, maybe I'll go down the fuel refining route for now. Just to produce additional. Our stores are almost full. We've got about 1 million tons of fuel ready for the invasion, but we'll be doing some more in terms of efficiency there. The air war over the Caribbean after the Americans have lost their airbase in Kingston is going in our favor. So far, we are trading about 1 to 5, which is a very good ratio. We do have some idea what the Americans are up to in terms of air force. So we do know that they have about 20,000 airplanes in total. large number of fighters on a large number of P-36s, which I think are somewhat outdated, honestly. The P-40s are a bit more modern. Yeah, the air attack here is very low. The P-40s, from what we know, are a bit more modern, and they have a small number of more capable fighters, but it's a small wing. So I don't think our heavy fighters are going to have too much trouble with these. We are facing a fair number of tactical bombers, however, so fighter support is quite vital here, and obviously a very large number of close air, of short-range close air aircraft. The Americans are going to have the advantage initially until we have support in the support on the landing. Talking about landings, it looks like the Dutch have managed to land in Canada, but further attempts by Russian landings are being repelled as we speak. So probing attacks to keep the Americans on their toes, but the main attack is going to be along the east coast. A massive air battle is developing over the Caribbean Sea. The Americans are sending increasing number of aircraft, but most of them, it looks like, they sent a large number of their P-40s, but I don't think they will have the range to challenge our heavy fighters. So we've got still Junkers 88 mostly, but some of the newer Heinkel 219s in the area. We have a much better air detection and mission efficiency over the region. And the Americans are losing a lot of planes in the secondary theater that they probably should be concentrating on the home front. But that is a mistake they're probably going to be regretting. Now, the research slot available, and we may as well do the aircraft research. I think large cannons, we've got the cannons. What's the difference between the large cannons and the cannons 2? This gives me twin large cannons, which would be a 24 air attack for 4 agility, and these would be 24 air attack for 1 agility. Okay, so the more modern cannons are the better choice here, so we don't really need to go there. I think we're pretty much through with all of this, so I might as well do the excavation techs. They are a little bit behind, and get some more resources and support the German industry. Meanwhile, the first Aggregat 10 rockets are available, and as you can see from the airbase in Haiti, they can cover pretty much half the world. So we could even operate these probably from Germany or from Europe itself, but for now we will be using these rockets to launch operations in and along the east coast, where we are currently not seeing any kind of enemy fighter operations, but obviously interceptors might be on the ground that we don't know much about. So soon the Luftwaffe will redirect its efforts towards the coastline and start clearing out positions there and scouting and ensuring that we know where to send. We have two options. We can either send the Fernkampfgeschwader, or we are going to send the rockets directly. I think the rockets are the better option. So intercontinental ballistic missiles from the Caribbean going against the US Eastern Seaboard. The third atomic device is almost ready. So we will be hitting 2 locations and then launching the attack once that's done. We are currently significantly overloading the air bases in Haiti while they are still under construction. So there's still a bit of work here to be done, but it's good to see the first rocket bases becoming available, and they are going to be able to cover the whole American continent. 7 heavy fighter wings have been transferred to the airbase in Bermuda, and from there they are starting to launch the first aerial missions along the US East Coast. Most of them don't have the equipment just yet. They only start having the first planes, but the Nachtjagdgeschwader is having Nachtjagdgeschwader 4 is having is having a relatively large number of Heinkel 219s, and these have the range from Bermuda to reach all the way up to the US East Coast. So that part of the 7th Air Fleet is going to be taking care of the northern operations. And we've got the strategic bombers, which obviously have the range to drop there. So we should, now that these planes are in position and on area superiority mission, we should have all of them on the, most of them can't reach. I think it's just it's just the two night fighter units which have sufficient number of Heinkels that they can actually reach for 200 planes on the US East Coast. Not the greatest aerial superiority, but that should be sufficient to enable us to launch missiles from Haiti. Yes, it definitely is. So things are progressing. Air war in the Caribbean is continuing against a vast number of enemy fighters. They have definitely concentrated large numbers, but they are taking losses there, significant losses there. So let's just make sure we've got all available fighters up in the air. Yes, the long-range medium fighters are the ones that are needed here to hold the line and to wear down the Americans in the Caribbean, distract them while we are preparing for the invasion. The second rocket site is almost complete, and we are getting ready. We are getting ready overall in terms of armed forces. The large number of enemy troops has landed on Bermuda, which means I think we need to move the. We do not have the amount of fuel available that we should have. Can we upgrade the naval base in Bermuda even more? I think we are actually, we are still building up the naval bases in Bermuda, so hopefully the situation alleviates itself somewhat, and the current logistical situation gets somewhat better. There are the rocket sites. There's you can sort of see them there. There's one north of Santo Domingo and one east of Port-au-Prince, both of them hidden somewhat in the foothills of the mountains, and they are starting to get a number of available missiles ready to launch against the USAS. The Americans have started scrambling their own fighters, so we are now actually starting to see the first. We are starting to see the first air battles over the East Coast, which means we probably, after the initial scouting missions, can take the planes off again for now, and wait for further equipment deliveries, because right now these 7 air groups are still under-equipped when it comes to range. The Junkers 88 can't reach there. And the Maschinenkarabiner Modell 44 is finished. So let's continue with the night vision goggles as well, Nachtsichtgerät, and add that to the list of things. So we are as equipped as we can possibly be. For the overall leadership of the invasion, I've decided to bring Kurt von Hammerstein-Eckwood on board as a combined arms genius, which is further going to increase the capability of our forces on the ground. He is going to join the military high command for this operation, and then things will get started very soon. The Mitteleuropa economic system is being extended. Greece and Russia are now joining. This gives Germany once again improved economic leverage over Russia to ensure that no further threat may be emanating from there. And I think we have free civilian factories, so the upgrades are to the infrastructure for invasion are getting completed. There's still a few port facilities that need building up, but we can, in the meantime, convert some more of the German industry into wartime footing. simply because at this point the German economic system has such a large industrial base from our imports that if we look here, we have a massive amount of factories available, factory goods available simply from the imports that we have from, or simply from the exports that we have done, that we are doing for all over the world, and from the colonial empire that we're holding. So some smaller naval engagements. There's still some light American forces operating in the area. I do have everyone except let's see. This one is in Bermuda. Yeah, they might be able to. Intervene. Honestly, we've got the Fortschlaggeschwader, which is in Norway for some reason at this point. I thought I ordered them. Into the Caribbean. So let's rectify that. We'll send them to Santo Domingo. But we do have the third ready for action, so they should be. Maybe it's fuel shortages. They should be able to intervene with these naval engagements here, where friendly submarines are being attacked by American light forces. So let's see if any of the battle groups is going to join there. German East Asian shipping is in the region as well, but we shall see. Not any concern for the invasion itself, so not something we need to concern ourselves with. Just to observe more activity from American groups. There are actually battleships now operating here as well. So I think in that consideration, we'll probably send the Fortschlaggeschwader to Havana and see if they can join the fray. Third is we'll send the third. They are on strike force. We will send them into the region, if possible, and see if they will join battle there, or if the submarines are going to escape before anything else happens here. We may need. No, we do have aircraft on reconnaissance. Naval patrol wings should be absolutely covering the area, and we should be having the reports coming in. So let's see if we can get the third Schlaggeschwader to join battle. Ships under Erich Raeder from the third Schlaggeschwader have been joining the reported, or have been managing to intercept the reported position of enemy shipping. We have two enemy battleships, the Utah and the South Carolina. The South Carolina was the super battleship that we've been hunting all this time. So let's see if we can manage to catch them. Their escort fleet looks relatively weak. A lot of these ships are already damaged, and there's not a large number available here. So let's see if we can land some hits here. Mostly interested really in the big ships before they can manage to get away under cover. And the enemy destroyers are already getting sunk here relatively quickly. Naval strikes should be going out pretty soon. So far, no hits reported on the two battleships. The heavy cruisers, we've got Hartfield, Lancaster, Marion, Springfield, the Helena, Tallahassee, and the Quincy, which is listing quite heavily. No progress so far. It looks like the screening group is doing a relatively good job on covering the retreat once again of the American heavies, especially that we landed relatively late in the battle. And we have managed to so far to only sink 5 of the enemy destroyers at the loss of 2 destroyers actually on our own side. So screening groups relatively evenly matched, which has led to the big ships being able to escape by the looks of it. And no hits landed on, a few hits landed on enemy cruisers. The Des Moines and the USS Frankfurt have managed to escape, but have taken a fair amount of damage. Light forces are retreating, and the losses are now piling up on the American side. But it looks like the screening group has been successful in covering the retreat. Von der Tann has managed to sink the Frankfurt, and the Des Moines has been sunk by Moltke as well. With that, the light cruiser Omaha and 14 enemy destroyers have been sent to the bottom for the cost of 4 destroyers on the German side. But unfortunately, the large capital ships have managed to escape. So the hunt continues here, and we will see if we'll see where they return to port. Okay, 3rd Schlachtgeschwader is moving in for repairs at this point. It looks like, a lot of the ships actually have taken a lot of the capital ships have taken some damage. These would have been they definitely need to go in for repairs. These would have probably been the guns from the super battleships from the South Carolina. And it looks like the escort forces have been relatively capable here. So definitely, are we building up? Yes, we are building up that naval base. Definitely some damage here taken from the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader, moving into repair now. The 1st is still repairing in Lisbon, but they can take over the duty relatively soon once König and Lothringen have been repaired. And in the meantime, we've got the 4th, as well as the relatively outdated 2nd Schlachtgeschwader available for further covering operations. So a good fight given by the Americans. Definitely a capable battle group with that super battleship and the somewhat more modern light forces that were supporting it. But we are still coming out on top overall. And we'll continue down the upgrade to anti-tank guns, which is going to improve the overall effectiveness against hard targets, of which we might be seeing a few. Enemy losses are mounting over the Caribbean. They have, in the last month, we have shot down almost 270 fighters, as well as a fair amount of bomber planes. But mostly, given that there are no land operations ongoing at the moment, it is a battle of fighters, of fighter craft in the region against in order to wear down the Americans. Further landing attempts by Norwegian or Swedish-Norwegian troops in Canada, but the Canadian coast is relatively well defended and not an easy target for landing. But we are building up the number of rockets available in Haiti for further operations, and we've got more additional heavy fighter wings available to bring to bear from Haiti. And I think we are starting to see also a numerical superiority now. So with the help of the ground radar, advanced operations, we are wearing down the Americans quite effectively. The Russians have managed to spot the South Carolina and the Utah, but they seem to have left most of their escort group behind in order to detach and protect a convoy from Russian submarines. So Russians picket submarines have managed to pick them up. We are sending the 4th Schlachtgeschwader, the most modern that we have available now, into the fray. And we will see if we can manage to finally take down the beast. The Otto Lilienthal and the Potsdam are launching their air groups, and we've got the Dona and Wotan, her sister ship, both ready to engage together with their screening group against the Utah, South Carolina, the Helena, the Tallahassee, and the Marion, Lancaster, and Hartford. Unfortunately for them, they're mostly sailing without escorts, which was a high risk in order to protect that vital convoy, but is going to cost them very, very dearly, I think. The Russian submarines are retreating. But now we are going to see how much damage we are going to be able to do, especially against the South Carolina. That is probably the most important one at this stage. We'll see if we can manage to land some hits on these battleships, and hopefully sink them as well. One of the Russian submarines has been spotted. The Niobe has taken down one of the screens, and the Wotan has sunk the Memphis. And now the battleships are coming under attacks from torpedoes, from light guns from the screening group, as well as from airstrikes from the air. Naval bombers have landed some hits on the Utah, and some first torpedo hits reported on the South Carolina. It is a very large battleship, so it's not going to go down easily. But the light guns of the screening forces keep peppering them, while the Wotan and her sister are maneuvering into positions and hopefully get some salvos off from the heavy guns against the enemy ships. It looks like so far they've been fighting more fighting the cruisers, which are getting in themselves more torpedo hits against the Utah reported, and more torpedo hits against the South Carolina. However, while they have taken heavy damage, it looks like she may be able to sustain that and get out of there. The two battleships are retreating at maximum speed, and their secondary guns are no joke. One of our light cruisers is going to have to disengage, and it looks like 3 of the heavy cruisers have been sunk. The Utah has taken massive damage from torpedoes, but in the end has been sunk by the SMS Nymphe with torpedoes. They've lost 3 heavy cruisers, but once again, the South Carolina, with relatively heavy damage, has managed to escape, and we will keep hunting her. She's losing her escorts more and more frequently, but the damage to some of the light ships, the Medusa and the Frankfurt, have been heavily damaged by secondaries and by the heavy cruisers and by the secondaries of the South Carolina. So some repairs for the Vorschlaggeschwader are going to be necessary. How far long is the first? Still got the König and the Lothringen under repairs, almost ready back in Lisbon, and we will send them back. The hunt continues, but the South Carolina is at this point so heavily damaged that I don't think the Americans are going to risk her, and she will be effectively becoming combat ineffective. So we do have reports. It's the Frankfurt and the Medusa, which both have been damaged. So we are going to send the Vorschlaggeschwader. Where do we have a naval base available for repairs? We can probably send them. Yeah, we'll send them to Nassau, to the Nassau base, and we'll repair them once they have arrived. So let's see if we can manage to. No, please move into Bahamas, not to Haiti. Haiti is already busy with repairs otherwise. So let's get the group sent there and enact emergency repairs. And there we go. Group is in port and is now repairing. So damage on especially on the cruisers is going to be fixed in port, but overall, well done against the American heavies, and that means once again we're preparing. We've got fighters stationed now in Havana and in Bermuda. So we are ready for. We are going to get ready for aerial operation over Florida and aerial operations over the East Coast. So everything is getting ready. We've got the Fernkampfgeschwader ready and loaded as well, and we've got tactical bombers to follow up, as well as additional fighter wings available. So invasion can begin shortly. We are still in December. The overall target is going to be January. Legacy of the Second Weltkrieg is complete, plus 5% base stability. And I think there were a few more interesting things that we could do as research bonus. Don't really need it. More research bonus. a more research bonus. Yeah, not much. Not what much we need, but fostering post-war growth for factory output is very much in the cards here. So that's what we're going for next. It is all about the European economic situation at this point in order to create the stable core in Eurasia for the empire. As 1945 comes to a close, the occupation zones in the Pacific have been reorganized. Hawaii is now has now taken over New Caledonia as well as Fiji, and Kingdom of Hawaii is holding Tasmania, which they originally conquered. Meanwhile, German East Asia is dealing with the Australian mainland, and the Dutch East Indies have taken control as a proxy of the Netherlands directly in southern New Guinea. So with that, the Pacific situation is pretty much resolved in terms of occupation zones, and we are anxiously awaiting the new year. The population is ready in terms of indoctrination, and we have 3 atomic devices, 1 in reserve. So the strikes, as long as the troops are in position, can begin relatively soon. Von Manstein's divisions are already in place. I think it's just some of Modul's. Some of Modul's infantry is still in transit across the Atlantic. So once they've reached their positions, we will begin. The 2nd Schlachtgeschwader, currently the only operational battle group in the Caribbean after the clashes with the American super battleship, is intercepting an American raider group, and we will see how much damage they can do. But I think these, even though they are relatively old, the Richelieu and the Jean Bart should be able to deal with the enemy shipping without too much trouble. Unfortunately, the French destroyers are not very capable, and it looks like the Americans have managed to bring battleships to bear. This was unexpected. The French destroyers have showing themselves to be less than capable in actual battle, despite the fact that they were supervised by German soldiers. So we've lost a lot of the French destroyers of this group, which means with the reinforcement from American battleships, now suddenly the tide of the battle has turned. The Pennsylvania, the California, and the Washington, as well as the heavy cruiser Olympia and the battle cruiser Constitution, are now joining the fray, together with, and it looks like the rest of the French destroyers is very quickly giving up the fight as well, which means that our forces are actually forced to retreat here, despite the initial superiority. But Richelieu has taken quite some damage, and the screening group, comprised mostly out of French destroyers, is very quickly going to the bottom. Mostly dealt by the light guns and torpedoes from the American battle group. So the more modern American destroyers, despite the fact that they were initially numerically inferior, have done a fair amount of damage to these old French destroyers, and despite the fact that one of them seems to have taken torpedoes as well, the battleships are retreating, but they have done some damage to the Pennsylvania, which is now retreating, and with the heavy guns. So they're not leaving without honor. But we have lost the coastal's defense ship Edgar Quintet, as well as pretty much all of the old French destroyers, which basically renders the group relatively ineffective. So even though there is some close air support flying in from the mainland in order to support this group, all in all, I'd say this is a battle that has gone to the Americans, with the relatively unexpected poor performance of the old French destroyers, as well as the showing up of the heavy force reinforcements, which are now taking which are now taking damage from the air. There is mostly these, I think these are Cuban aircraft that are bringing in support here. So I think maybe they can still do a little bit of damage before the battle ends. But overall, I'd say this was a victory for the Americans. They have shot down 33 aircraft. We've lost 18 destroyers as well as a coastal defense ship for the total cost of 5 destroyers. And with that, I would say the second Schlachtgeschwader is at this point combat ineffective and will return to port for immediate repairs. And it will be up to the rest of the battle groups. I think the first Schlachtgeschwader is almost ready in action. These are older ships. Most of them are older ships, but there are some more modern destroyers in the escorts. And fourth is repairing. The fourth is a lot of the forces on the fourth were relatively new. They hadn't gone through training yet, so they've taken a lot more damage than originally necessary. But yeah, we have the Americans are putting up a lot of a fight, despite the fact that we have the overall naval superiority. The remaining American forces and still the South Carolina somewhere out there are putting up quite a fight, and we are going to need at least one battle group ready and back in action. That is going to be the first, in order to support the naval invasions. The last repairs have been conducted. The first Schlachtgeschwader, mostly comprised of somewhat older ships, but having the SMS Elsass at her core, together with the fleet carriers, is now making their way across the Atlantic towards the Bahamas in order to support the beginning naval invasions. And once they are in place, I think we should have the troops. Troops are mostly in place. Yes, we've got Models divisions have arrived and have arrived in Cuba. We've got some more of his divisions over in Haiti, and we've got the 9th Army stationed here as well. Plus, we have the tank armies ready in Europe, and we've also got some reinforcements if necessary. We have the Marines poised and ready, and the mountain divisions under Hugo Fuchs. Some of them are still moving into Kingston, but they will be assisting after the landings as well, in order to, especially if it comes to fighting in the mountainous areas on the US East Coast. January 1st, 1946, New Year. While people in New York City are celebrating, aircraft are launching from Bermuda and making their way across the eastern seaboard towards the American East Coast. They will be keeping the enemy fighters busy, while intercontinental ballistic missiles are going to be launched from Haiti, and they will be hitting New York, the enemy capital. Last-minute intelligence has confirmed that the American leadership has not actually, in fact, celebrated in New York City, but mostly important people have moved to Philadelphia. So in order to launch a decapitation strike, we are retargeting somewhat south. We're still going to be landing in New York City, but hopefully the explosion in Philadelphia is going to cause enough havoc that in the chain of command that our Marines can still perform their operations. Nuclear weapons underway as a first towards the city of Philadelphia. With a massive mushroom cloud over the city, nuclear fire has destroyed most of Philadelphia, and with it whatever was on the ground. This is an absolutely terrifying weapon, and if it wasn't for the fact that we know for sure that the Americans would use it first if they could, we would never have used it ourselves. While the American command is reeling from the destruction of Philadelphia, the second strike package is underway. and once it has landed in northern Florida, then Halder's marine divisions are going to start moving. In the meantime, we'll send the first Schlachtgeschwader. We're sending the first Schlachtgeschwader to Bermuda, and they can support the invasion north in New York City, while the second atomic weapon is going to be dropped. And then a final demand is going to be made to the American government to immediately surrender or to face invasion. Right now, their war support and their stability are relatively low, so the population is not very much in favor of this whole of everything that's ongoing. So while the ships and the Elsass is moving past the Florida coast, a second missile is in the air and is about to strike in northern Florida. News have filtered through of the atomic bombing of Philadelphia. For the first and hopefully last time in history, a nuclear bomb has been detonated in Philadelphia as part of international warfare. The unprecedented destruction stands as a testament of the devastating power of this new weapon, which is feared not only for what it can do to its targets, but what implication it has for the one who deploys it and for humanity itself. The world holds its breath, waiting for what will come next. Will this force Union of Socialist America states to surrender, to avoid further terror, or will it only strengthen their resolve to strike back against those who would resort to such measures? Well, we are going to launch a second one, and we will see what impact that is going to have on their coast. The second nuke in northern Florida, and with that, we are just waiting for the first Schlachtgeschwader to be ready. But I think American shipping in general has been massively disrupted, and we can launch Halder's northern group without further delay. So let's begin the invasion of New York City. And with the fleet in the area, I think all American resistance has been taken care of. So we can probably also launch the invasion of Florida once the fires on the ground have gone out, and no further danger is expected again for the friendly troops. We have to take the New York City airport. We are still flying planes over the East Coast, observing Philadelphia. But the Americans have fighters up in the air, so until the Marines have secured the airport, not much can be done. In the south, that's a different story, because we have sufficient numbers of fighters up in the air in order to cover the ground invasion without too much problems. And do we actually have any airbase capacity? A little. So we can send some tactical bombers. We can send some of the tactical bombers over in order to support that. So let's bring probably five wings over to Bahamas, and they will be supporting the southern operation on the ground. The northern invasion group is going to have to operate independently without air cover, since they're simply out of range of sufficient amounts of friendly fighters available. First Schlachtgeschwader is escorting the Marines towards the coast, and we will see how the landing in New York City is going to go. In the meantime, we can recruit a new operative. We could get what do we have? I think I'm going to go with Hugo Bleicher here. He's a master saboteur. That sounds useful, and he can assist. We'll send him over to Chicago to assist with operations there. We have a pretty good coverage at this point, and we're also having friendly attempts once more. This time of German East Asian troops trying to land in Canada, but I think without too much success. We had hoped that the American defenses would have been significantly weakened in New York, with 3 divisions landing along the coast, but a very, very strong enemy defense being put up in the city. Multiple enemy tank divisions are there, and that's what originally that's what the original target of the nuclear strike was supposed to support. Unfortunately, by the looks of it, and since we had to divert to Philadelphia, the Marines are going to be struggling, even with naval support, to breach the American defenses. If they can bring their reserves to bear quickly enough before the Marines can wear down the defenders, then this is going to be a very difficult landing. But with support from the heavy guns, it looks like they have made their way through, and the Marines have broken into New York City. And we will immediately send now reinforcements, the remaining Marine divisions over as reinforcements into New York City in order to support the troops, which are going to dig in for now and just be on the defense. Meanwhile, the battle group is returning to Nassau for the invasion of the second force, where we have 2 divisions ready to land in the somewhat radioactive position there. We might actually send more divisions in. We're gonna send 5 in. It's only going to take 5 days to get the additional divisions there. So now it's in the Marines in New York just have to hold, and the Sturmpanzer divisions digging in at this point. They are going to. It might be a good idea to, if we can get 1 division to spare, to counterattack and expand the foothold here, destroy and secure the eastern flank in Manhattan to make sure that the New York City position is going to be held. And I think the 2 divisions are holding in New York City itself. The 6th Marine Sturmpanzer Division is moving east to secure the eastern flank, and is then going to return for defensive duties. We are sending in reinforcements from the Marines. And once the Marines have established a sufficient beachhead, then we can send in additional troops to break the invasion. German East Asia is doing a diversionary attack along the coastline here as well. And in 2 days, we are going to launch the second operation. We can at this point start moving planes into New York City. So let's get heavy fighters over into New York City and over the New England air zone. And we don't have to bring the strategic bombers in. Instead, we are going to begin destroying. We're going to begin destroying enemy supply, mostly is what I'm interested in. So not the air bases, but so if we take priority on supply, we are going to start sending the Fernkampfgeschwader to destroy supply lines in the capital region in New England, and hopefully that will assist as well. So far, not much in the air on the enemy side, really. We're bringing the heavy fighter wings over, and on the ground, the Marines are holding for now, and it's just up to the 3rd Commando to secure the eastern flank, and to make sure that no additional damage is coming from that side. And I think the Marines are slowly starting to secure their positions in New York City itself. Okay, eastern flank taken. Marines creating a front line, and everybody join that front line. And then their first task is going to be to secure Newark and the airbase in the north. as part of Unternehmen Untergang under Operation Downfall. But for now, we will wait for additional marine divisions to land, and then we will be bringing tank divisions over from Europe and infantry divisions from the south. The American capital, in the meantime, has been moved to Washington, but initial landings have been successful, and enemy tank attacks have been repelled successfully. Post-war growth has been completed, which means we can now focus on what else do we have here? We can that's conversion, building slots. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll improve the agriculture in Eastern Germany. That's necessary as well. First air battles happening over New England. Large number of enemy fighters up in the air. We are holding the New York Air Base right now, where we still have some capacity. So given that it's relatively short range, we can probably bring some of the Jagdgeschwader over from Europe. So let's bring what we got. Okay, we're almost at capacity already anyway. Friendly air wings are going to come in. So I think with the single airport in New York City, we are pretty much at capacity. Yeah. So for now, we'll just hold the position, wait for additional marine divisions to arrive, and try to break north, secure a second airbase, and then bring the rest of the troops in. Meanwhile, we can launch the naval invasion in the south and land in the position in Florida. A large number of American aircraft active over Florida at this point, and we're shooting down what is mostly old and outdated P-36, which don't have a great chance against our relatively capable fighter craft. Once an airbase is secured in Florida, which is probably going to have to be Miami, then we will send additional planes in. But we've also got tactical bomber wings over the area on ground support. So once the Marines have landed, then reinforcements can be sent. All right, back to New York City, where the 14th, 15th, and 6th Marines are digging in and defending themselves against frequent counterattacks. And we've got additional Marine divisions landing, and I would like you to not start immediately attacking, but instead, that's because I've executed all orders. That's why. Let's execute only the order that we need, which is the invasion, and not immediately start attacks in New York, because the Marines are going to have to get situated first. But now we have sufficient troops with 6 divisions, 4 of them armored divisions, in place, that a few of them are still landing. You all stay, please. Okay, everyone's landed. The divisions need to organize themselves and dig in and defeat the American counterattacks for the time being. But I think they are in a relatively good position. We might be able to break out north here against this exhausted 2nd Revolutionary Division. So let's divert probably the 15th and get them to start launching not there actually. Can we not launch the assault? Yeah, there we go. Nope, not that either. Okay, difficult to... so many enemy troops in the area. Relatively difficult to launch the attack in the direction that we wanted to go. Just one more attempt. There we go. Okay. Counterattack north on the move. And I think once this exhausted 2nd Revolutionary Division has been defeated, then we can make the push north successfully. Meanwhile, naval landing is happening. We can only get two divisions on site, but the 952nd and the 9th Marine Sturmdivision are taken on the 399th Continental with support both from the air and on the ground. And in the north, we are still taking furious counterattacks. And and the 15th is still trying to actually make a move north. We have some naval battles going on, but it's, I think at this point, mostly convoys. Yes, it's American convoys. We do have to keep a bit of an eye on things, and I am going to get the first, once the invasion is done here, I'm going to get the first back on. I'm going to get the first to New York and back on strike force and see that we're not getting, our supply is not getting cut off in the northern regions. Okay, recon done. I think there's not an awful lot anymore that we need to research here. I think we've done pretty much all, so I'm just going to go for some airframes. But this is not really going to have an impact on the war anymore. Airbase. Airbase is pretty much saturated, but the Americans are pushing back quite heavily in the north. We are taking relatively light losses, however, given the qualitative superiority that our aircraft are having. So while the U.S. Navy has fought well, the U.S. Air Force so far is much less of a threat. Consistent attacks against across the river into New York, and we're still trying to get the 15th to complete the crossing, but they're constantly coming under fire. There we go. 15th has managed to complete the crossing, and we are getting friendly reinforcements. We are going to block supply to friendly reinforcements, however. We are going to send. We're going to send additional divisions north in order to secure the landing areas there, because the Marines are coming under immediate counterattacks. So we are going to need reinforcements. We're going to try and get another. Try to get the 14th north as well, but it looks like the 15th is not going to be able to hold that northern position there against the immediate and furious counterattacks. We will see if they can. I am trying to send an additional division north, but for the time being we have to hold and see if we can. Okay, we've got another Marine division up in the north, and we will try to hold that position. The fight on the landing is still ongoing. The Marine Sturm divisions are struggling against the relatively heavily fortified enemy troops. Unfortunately, the tank forces have not yet joined because of the difficult terrain. The Marines have landed first, the infantry Marines, that is. So in that regard, we are still waiting for the tanks to find an opening. Okay, we've got additional forces up in the north, and with that, I think with friendly troops also now holding New York, we have a relative. That's what's too many tank divisions. I'm gonna get one to remain in New York, and we will try to hold back that flood here. Now that we've somewhat secured the northern sector, we're just waiting for the invasion in Florida to complete. We will see the 9th Marines are starting to get exhausted, but they are managing to do some damage, especially with the naval bombardment, which is taking care of the deforestation. The Americans have a relatively large superiority in the air. That was to be expected, and the tactical bombers are not having enough range just across in order to support that well. So that is going to be more difficult. But let's hold the north for now. And I think once we've managed the landing, then we are going to start sending additional divisions over, because I do want the first Schlachtgeschwader on point here. I don't think any of the other battle groups is currently combat effective. We're still doing repairs on the 3rd. The 2nd is not effective, and we're still doing repairs on the 4th as well. Okay, so this is the only battle group we currently have available, which means the Marines are going to have to fight their way through. At the same time, we'll see if we can, how well we can manage to hold New York, and we can get these divisions to dig. If these divisions can manage to dig in and fortify themselves in the outskirts of the city. Of course, furious and immediate American counterattacks are causing some trouble here. But so far, the vaunted American tank divisions haven't really shown up just yet. So we'll give rigid cohesion here, please. I would like to ensure that only the troops are moving that I'm telling to move. Haiti and the Dominican Republic can now be liberated. We can either make them independent, or the Dominican Republic can take over all of the island. I think we can liberate both of them. So with that, we can then start moving the infantry up relatively soon. But first, the troops have landed in Florida, so we're immediately going to send 2 of the tank divisions we'll send 1 tank division to occupy the railway, and we'll ensure that we are holding back the north. Instant counterattacks from the south, but we will try to break. We'll try to widen the position here. We'll just have to get the Marines to hold this. And now that the first Schlachtgeschwader can get back to strike force duty, and I think the 3rd is back on duty as well. Yeah, the 3rd's back on duty, so we'll get the 3rd to move to New York City. And with that, we can start moving additional troops in. So we are going to get Modell's army to support the Florida operation, and their first target is going to be to secure Miami, and from there we have an actual foothold from which we can do aerial operations. And then we've got von Manstein's divisions, which can join the front line in New York City, and their task is going to be to secure the area up to Harrisburg, take over Philadelphia, see if any of and make moves towards closer towards Washington, and then from there on we'll probably secure the north all the way up to Boston, to fortify our foothold in the area. All right, and then once that is stabilized and we've got some supply, we can send the tanks in. The aerial operations, despite the distance that our planes have to take, are quite successful. The New England operations as well. We are taking some losses, but obviously the sheer number of enemy aircraft means that the strategic bombing campaign is not as successful as it should have been. So we'll stop that for now, given that the air is still swarming with American fighters, and we'll hold the north. We'll wait for reinforcements to come. We've got the oceans under our control, which means the troops can start moving up. And we are expanding our foothold in Florida. Once the Marines have made their way through, they are coming under attack by armored divisions, but so far they're managing to hold them back with infantry weapons without too much trouble. So let's see how let's see how well that is going to work out. I think we're going to leave one division back in the port to defend here, and once we've cut off the southern part of Florida from reinforcements, then things are going to look significantly brighter. Support the attack here and ensure that we are cutting Florida off. New York is holding and waiting for additional reinforcements to arrive. And the Qing government has taken over the Ma clique in China. Yeah, the Chinese Civil War is still ongoing, but at this point it's just the Sichuan clique, and then the Qing government is going to have pretty much the Chinese Empire restored. So one more interesting position there. Meanwhile, Russians are landing in Central America. It's another diversionary attack, and the German East Asia has landed in Florida and is attacking Miami. So they have managed to land behind our lines, which means we can probably change the target. If German East Asia is in assistance here, we can probably change the assault target for once additional troops have arrived. We just need to see. Okay, we've secured the lines. We no longer need to push north. We've secured the railway lines. We've got the troops in the north cut and the south cut off, and that should give the German East Asian troops some manner of opportunity there, which means we can probably get the Third Army. Where is it? Third Army. There it is. Third Army under Model. We're going to use them to clear out the southern positions first, then, and with the assistance of the German East Asian forces that have landed, and then we will swing north as it becomes necessary. Meanwhile, yeah, New York is holding and under great pressure, but given the strategic position and the river line and water line crossings that the Americans are having to do, it is causing them significant problems to make their way across. So far, the losses on the American side are quite severe. Nothing catastrophic just yet, but these failed attempts at retaking New York are quite expensive in terms of manpower. And given that Florida has been cut off, we're now just waiting for the troops to arrive to secure the area, and we will make our breach in the north. Further nuclear operations are possible, and we will see. So far, the impact on the support of the population is towards the conduct of the war is quite severe, and overall the government is nowhere near as stable as they thought they would probably have been. Just keeping a quick eye if there are any. No, these are just submarine operations. No naval operations in the area. Right, so the invasion has begun. The government has refused to surrender. Whoever has made their way out of Philadelphia has retreated to Washington, but it looks like the overall command structure is still intact. Browder has not been killed by the initial nuclear strike, and a land invasion, costly as it may have to be, it has to be underway. So far, losses on the German side are about 7,000 compared to this is not just from the invasion, but from previous invasions as well. We're still overall we have a very large superiority in overall manpower, so we will prevail, and we will get the Americans to surrender. Obviously, for now, they are. We need to get them down to 32% of the victory points. But if we can reduce, and I think that is a good mission for some of the other operatives, because I think our operation has been completed. Okay, so we can now get some of the we can now get some on propaganda missions, which is going to significantly reduce their overall willingness to fight. So we will send Giscus to Cleveland, and I think we have trusted agent Polyakova available. She can start working on the West Coast. So we'll send her to Portland to begin some, or maybe to Sacramento, because that's where Agent Jacobs is already active. And in that case, we may actually want to send Giscus to Indianapolis instead, where we have some more opportunities. So underground operations are underway to break the American will to fight. Germans have landed in New York, have taken the capital against a somewhat surprised and disorganized defense. Furious counterattacks from the available American troops, but so far the German divisions are holding, and we are getting reinforcements in now to start clearing out Florida, and then to begin operations north to link up and to effectively long-term strategically capture the whole American eastern seaboard, and hopefully then they will be beaten down enough that they will surrender. So we shall see. Anyway, another agent available. Who do we have? We have Infilea. That's maybe somebody from South America. I doubt that we're going to need them, but we'll get Agent Baquedano here, and she can build. She can build an intelligence. She can assist with the intelligence operations in. She can assist with intelligence operation in Mexico, and prepare for operations there. Intel network in Yucatan. Yep, I think the shock and awe part is over, and now it comes to avoiding massive military losses while getting the USAS to capitulate. If everything goes well, the whole building will come crumbling down once we kick the door in.